Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Life Unscripted podcast. Obviously, for those watching on YouTube, we are in a slightly different location. We're currently in Leeds.
We're on our holidays.
On our holidays in Leeds. No, Sarah had her head office is in Leeds,
yes.
And she had her end of year Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
So we just thought we were making a weekend of it.
Absolutely.
And we're down Saturday, so that was Friday night, and we're just down Saturday, Sunday, and well, we still got to shoot the episode, still got to do the podcast. So we're here on a couch, silly different couch than usual. And we thought, since it's mid-December, we would talk about something that we've been experiencing a little bit.
Yeah.
And speaking to a few of my clients, I know they've been experiencing it too. Just this sense of, overwhelm, or just December getting away from you, I guess. And for some people, work can get quite busy. My work's been quite busy. And also, on top of that, you've got generally more social occasions to attend to.
It's a busy time of year.
Family and work and friends, all that stuff. Christmas nights out, and we got your birthday as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just all that kind of stuff all piling up together in December. That and the fact that there's more food usually this month. There's a bit more alcohol. There is less sunlight. I think all of it can just add up to get a bit overwhelmed in December. We were experiencing that a little bit last week, and we thought we would talk about it on the podcast today and just tell a bit about our story, how things have been for us, and then just offer some insight and things we're doing and things that other people could be doing that just to help, make December fun. Because Sarah was speaking of that before, like when you were a kid, and that is in part because you've not really got any responsibilities, but December was really fun. It was so magical, and it still is, and we still love this time of year, and we love Christmas, but especially with everything that's going on, and obviously the script's always there chapping at the door, that negative voice in your head. It can try and steal away some of that magic.
I think especially whenever you're tired as well, the script can really come through the front door instead of the back door.
It can,
and it's very much so highly more prevalent at this time of year, just because you are so tired and trying to get so much done.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe a good place to start is I'll speak a little about kind of last week. I've been trying to get quite a lot done within my business, and we've had quite a few social things we've been doing with friends, with your birthday, with family, and I just think it was all getting a little bit too much, and I was letting the script put a bit too much pressure on me with work, and on top of it, I just wasn't getting as much done as I needed to because I've just got a lot more on this time of year, and just because of that. Things like those basics I'm always talking about also fell to the wayside a little bit. Because we've been somewhat food prepping, which is a good tip, that's actually it was still okay mostly. But with my training stuff, I had fallen away a little bit. And I just kind of had to take a bit of a moment and just kind of remind myself that I don't need to get everything done. It's okay. And just to continue to stay flexible with my training and my health, but still to prioritize that stuff, because I'm sleeping a bit less, and with the days being shorter and with all the social occasions and with stuff at work, it's just important to not let really one of the most important pillars fall to the wayside, kind of looking after those basics of just my health and physical health and my mental fitness, and remembering to give time to those stuff, even though I've got the social occasions, even though work's quite busy. Where possible, make sure I'm keeping those basics in and not letting them fall away.
And I remember at the time that you rang me and you said, I think everything of me in regards to work or whatever it is. And I think because then we spoke about it, and at that moment you were very scripty. And even myself, that you can sound quite irrational whenever you're talking, because you're like, oh, everything's too much, whatever. But it's really trying to strip it back. I remember December is magical. It's so festive. It's time for family. It's time for your Christmas traditions and your favourite movies. And I think sometimes because we are so tired and we've got lack of sunlight and whatnot, it piles up on us. But we spoke about it, and then we were sort of like, let's just strip it back and remember why you're doing this, why you love to do what you do. I think there's other reasons to why you're feeling like this. And then we came together and we were just like, we need to prioritize our basics of what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks, whatever, and really just try and stay on top of it. But I think having that either partner or friend or family member to help keep you accountable in a way, but keeping each other floating to get us to the end of the year, I think really, really helps. But I think my week, the past couple of weeks actually, I think for me, I feel like work isn't done with me. yet, but I'm done. Like, I'm ready to have a holiday and just relax for a couple of weeks. So I think having that last bit of motivation for the end of the year, for me, like, I always really struggle with it. But again, it's the script. I wouldn't choose to feel like that. I want to go in energized, ready for work. But I think there are some physical fundamentals to stay on top of, which I don't think I'm always very good at, to be honest. But I do know that they would help. Getting a full night's sleep, eating the basics, doing the basics, eating good food and whatnot. I think it's really, really beneficial. But
I think that's really important, like, because your body's only got so much capacity to handle stress and recover, and when the days are shorter and you're maybe not sleeping as much and you're out a bit more and you're eating a bit more kind of like just like processed or junk food, and you're drinking a little bit more, I think it's important, because really at the end of the day, let's say throughout December 2 nights a week you're doing that kind of stuff, and then say there's Christmas Day, so what's that, that's like 8 days perhaps throughout the whole of December, 8-9 days, plus Christmas Day, so that's say 10 days, plus Boxing Day, say that's 11 days, plus New Year's Eve, that's 12, plus New Year's Day, say that's 13. So let's say it's 13 days throughout the whole month where you are maybe sleeping a bit less because you're out, and you're eating a bit more and you're drinking a little bit more. Let's say that's what's happened throughout your December. There's still there 17 days where I think it's really worth having some defaults that you fall back to keep yourself feeling as good as possible. So you're still getting in some exercise, some training, even if it's reduced. You can still reduce things this time of year if you need to, but don't stop entirely. I think it's easy to fall into that mindset of like, oh, it's a couple more weeks to the end of the year, I'll just stop and start in January. I mean, I think it's about, I was looking back over my Instagram recently and just looking at some old videos. I've just assumed the identity of eating nutritious food, eating plenty of protein, training is just something I'm going to be doing forever.
Yes.
Strength training, cardio is just something I'm going to engage in forever. And the different periods of my life and the different goals and different challenges that I set throughout that, they give that journey flavour and they change it for me. But at the end of the day, the foundation is I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It's not like a short-term diet. I'm not just putting all my effort into achieving one goal and then just stopping. Like I say, that stuff can give it flavour. But before all that, I'm committing to the lifelong kind of journey of this stuff. And I'm just completely embodying that identity that it's just who I am. So I think because of that, it means that those 12 days, and to be fair, it's not even days. It's really, besides Christmas Day, maybe New Year's Day, maybe Boxing Day as well, say, and maybe a couple of those days it is daytime things, but generally it's even more evening things. At least for me, it's been more stuff in the evening.
Yeah.
So I think it's still just going into those days and all the other days where things are just more normal, and just defaulting to the fact that you put yourself in the best place to feel the best this time of year if you just continue with those still exercise, although it can be reduced. I think that's going to leave you feeling way better this time of year. And a time of year when 12, 13 days, maybe for some people it's a couple more and some people it's slightly less, but at the end of the day, it's only a few days.
Because even at the start of the month, we were talking about changing some habits to make us more productive, more energized. And even whenever my birthday hit, they kind of slipped off. I can already feel, because obviously we had that weekend, till the weekend, and then, or had friends around or whatever, but then just on Friday I had my Christmas party, so I'm feeling tired. And then I know I need to go back to work tomorrow, and I'm already like, this is like the last week kind of come up into Christmas, and I'm already feeling really quite exhausted. But I'm also so grateful for all the experiences I've had, and I don't want to take away from that. And I ate yummy food, but however, I still went to training on a Saturday morning. I think it's even doing small things where, like, okay, I went out for my work party on Friday night, but then we went to like a park just down the road there, and it was absolutely beautiful. The sun was shining. We got a wee hot chocolate and a coffee, walked around the lake. It was stunning. And I'm like, that on its own will help. Even if you don't want to be like all the yummy food, it allows you to stay fresh. And for me, at least, doing some sort of movement or exercise allows the script to stay where it is and not to become too loud. And I can find during Christmas, like, nah, it's not the best thing mentally for me. And I think just having that balance between eating the yummy snacks and chocolates and whatever, and then even just doing some light movement. You don't need to be training for a triathlon during Christmas. I think it's just about balance, and I think you're really good at that. I think sometimes maybe the perception of a personal trainer or somebody who's in a gym and really into their training, they're wanting to be eating their Tupperware meals at all the parties and eating a specific time and hitting all those goals. But the thing is that you still do amongst the fun and the parties and the drinking and the chocolate. And I think it's really important to take that away for especially people who aren't a personal trainer or bodybuilder or whatever. Like, it's just balance at the end of the day.
It is, and it's just defaulting back to everything we've been speaking about in this podcast, and just because that's all I do. I just make that my default. Social occasions and the fun and the eating and the drinking in December, I still engage in all, and I don't. I'm not taking Tupperwares to Christmas Day and being like, I'm not eating that. I'm got my chicken and broccoli and rice. Like, I'm still engaging and having fun. It's just that I make sure to look after myself and default to those basics and all the other days. And that's the thing. Like, I fell away from it a little bit last week, which was why it's so good to have this conversation, and why it's good just to have that person but I'm trying to set myself up for success inside December. So going into December, knowing what the script's going to be saying to me, knowing kind of what's going to be happening, making sure I'm putting things in place to, be able to default to actually doing the things that I want to support me feeling the way I want to. And then just to really be able to enjoy the times that are really fun, and I'm not just completely like floored and knackered and overwhelmed the rest of the time. So it's going in with like a plan with my training. So if I have been, let's say you have been doing a bit more serious with your training and like kind of leading up to it, and then December, it's going to be quite busy, actually coming into December knowing how to keep the plan flexible so that you can keep, and maybe rather than training 3-4 hours a week, now you've just got 2 half-an-hour sessions a week. So like we spoke about on the building strength and muscle episode, it's enough to just maintain what you've done. So then you can just hit the ground running in January, and it's not been a complete reset. Having said that, having a week or 2 off can also be really beneficial. If you're someone who has been training really, really hard, it doesn't need to write off the entire month. You can still stay flexible for 2 or 3 weeks inside of December. Yeah. And then also just with your food, like knowing, okay, so how am I going to prep some food and have some stuff frozen, have some easy meals, have some meals that don't actually require to be cooked, that are still high in protein, plant food, high in protein and plants that I can easily grab on the go, or I can make in a couple of minutes. Those are all great options and great things to go into December having planned. And also just setting things up however you can, knowing what December is going to be like roughly, so that, like I say, you have that fallback that you can easily fall back to when you aren't doing all the social stuff, and then you can keep yourself feeling as good as possible. And that's the same with the mental fitness stuff as well. Like knowing what the script's going to be saying to you and going in actually looking for the fun in the month and trying to deliberately make it an enjoyable month, appreciate the month, and deserve to have all the magic out of the month that you can. Going in with that mentality as well can really help, because people do, I think, deserve to have a really wonderful December.
Absolutely. But I think there was something you actually said whenever we went on like our summer holiday, whenever you're like in an all-inclusive resort or wherever you are, and you have like an unlimited choice of food, breakfast, lunch and dinner. I think you sort of said if you wanted to have, like, you have your basics in each meal. Is that, you can remind me, I can't remember exactly what you said.
I think what I said was, when you go away on holiday, I don't just write off every day when I'm away and be like, oh, just do whatever I want, eat whatever I want. How I tend to approach it is, most days I'll have 2 meals where I have 3 meals every day, but I'll have 2 meals where I'm more just focused on deliberately just getting plenty of protein and plenty of plants. And then I'll have 1 meal where I can just eat whatever I want. Yeah. And I can have dessert and I can drink with it and it doesn't matter. And I'm on a holiday, so I'm just going to have fun. And I've found personally that allows me to maximally enjoy the holiday and still kind of like, not just completely go off the rails with it.
I just think it's quite a good tip, especially over the Christmas period, that time where it's like no man's land, and it's like being Christmas Day and then you head into New Year and everyone's like, I'm in my PJs all day, don't know what day it is. It's also an amazing time. It's like a little Christmas bubble and I love it. However, I can also feel like the stodgiest I've ever felt because I'm maybe not moving as much or I'm eating all the food. But I think it's a really good way to kind of frame it that in the day, if your breakfast and lunch are your protein, your whole foods, your plants, whatever, then at dinner time, if you want that wee dessert or that wee glass of wine, it's not going to have a detrimental effect. But also you don't need to think about it. You don't need to track calories. If you just focus on 2 meals being what you need, get the basics in and then have a bit of fun later on in the day, or even if you want to do it at lunch, whatever you want. But for me, it really helped. Wasn't fixating on calories. I was just enjoying the food, but I knew I was getting my basics and nutrients in. It was a really... I guess
that's the thing. Let's say that's what December ends up looking like then. It gets to the 24th, and then from the 24th to the 1st, you're really not doing much. There's honestly nothing wrong with that. However, that doesn't mean you need to write off from the 1st to the 23rd. You know what I mean? Like they can all still just be normal days. Like I think you don't let yourself fall into that mindset of just like, well, screw it, I'm just going to let everything fall away way earlier than it needs to. If your thing is between the 23rd and the 1st just to be like just drinking a bit and eating and just chilling in your PJs, if that's your thing, there's no reason for the 1st to the 22nd or 23rd to also look that way.
That can be like your normal month.
It can just be a normal month where you're still prioritizing getting in with your training and your nutrition and your sleep outside of the social occasions that are happening.
Yeah, definitely. Because even from like a script point of view, I love December, like, and especially whenever I was a kid, I adored it. It's like my favorite holiday, favorite like Christmas traditions and everything. And I think something I forget to do is really appreciate the moment I'm in. Work can take over, even like depending on what we're doing, our social interactions. I think I always forget how much fun I'm actually having and organizing all these dates to see friends and family and even like a work events and things like that. I think I get so bogged down with not feeling good and being tired is because I'm drinking a bit more, eating a bit more, and I physically don't feel well, but it really allows the script to come in.
And the sun.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, as we've just discussed, I don't mean to really want to appreciate it. And I think Christmas is such a great time of year that we can't forget that little inner child where you get so excited that Santa Claus is coming, and part of me really wishes he was, just because I think it's so magical and what is created in your brain, it's just amazing.
We've spoke about it in other episodes, but that feeling you get from Santa being real when you're a kid actually is a good kind of like analogy for the fact that the feelings that you want are already inside of you. So as a kid, you were letting yourself feel that way about something that actually wasn't real, that you didn't know wasn't real. So all those feelings that you were feeling leading up to Christmas and with Santa coming, you actually still have inside of you. It's just, we say that throughout life, you get a page of the script every day. Every day, you add a page onto the script, that negative voice inside your head. So then by the time you're like us, you're in your late 20s or your early 30s, you've added hundreds and hundreds, thousands of pages to the script. And it's put all this criteria in place about what you have to do in order to feel enough, the criteria that you actually can never really meet in the eyes of the script anyway. It's always moving the goalpost. But those feelings that you had when you were a kid around Santa, you already have inside of you. You can already choose to feel them whenever you want.
But then the funny thing is that the script immediately right now is saying to me, oh, but don't act like a child.
I think we spoke about this before as well. I think there's a big difference between being childish and being childlike. Like I think being like, we're not aiming to be childish, but I think there's so much childlike qualities that the script like hammers out of people that I think are so important to try and retain. Just that sense of wonder and creativity and really just that stuff, and the ability just to create fun out of nothing. I think those are really like childlike qualities that I personally am trying to like hold on to and cherish and continue to grow throughout my life and not let go of, just because that age script is such a big thing.
Absolutely.
Like,
and I don't think I ever want to let go of like that wonder and creativity, especially as I get older and older, because I think it's that way, like you don't always feel your age, but I feel like a kid living in like an adult's body, going back to date. Like even whenever we came and booked into our Airbnb, I was like, don't you ever just feel like you're like a pair of kids and your parents aren't here and you're just like at a sleepover? And I love that. I don't want that ever to change. I want to be 50 years old and still feel like that.
Phone down.
So it's just that way of like, I want to create that for Christmas, but it's hard because I'm really lucky in the fact that I think your mentality around childlike wonder and whatever is similar, and we have so much fun and we can goof around and whatever. But I really want to implement that in all of my Christmases and all my Christmases to come, because it was such a core like memory for me whenever I was such a kid that it's my favorite holiday, the time of year. But now I'm sort of like, it's like my eyes have been awakened to what adulthood is like. And I'm like, I've got work, I've got to get sort presents out for everybody. Got to make sure like if you're hosting, like the house is sorted, or make sure I could get to see my friends. I've got a couple of birthdays in December. Like it bogs you down. But I'm like, that's amazing. You see your friends, you see your family, you eat all the chocolate and wine and you want it in the world. Like it's an amazing time of year.
I think that's why, thinking about it now, because it's the experience I've kind of gone through in December this year with how you view things, like the lens you view things through really matters. Because when I look at through the script lens, I see... For those listening, I'm using my hand as a lens.
It's like Vogue.
So what's that? Lady Gaga.
Like poker face.
Yeah, that's it. Don't know what was I saying.
The lens you were looking through.
You've derailed my train.
Perspective.
Yeah, my lens. When I look at it through that script lens, it really does feel overwhelming. And I mentioned this, I think maybe in the last episode, I can't quite remember. The things that I'm trying to do to help my life, the script almost tries to, like those basics we're speaking about, the script almost tries to turn it into like, oh, you're not fulfilling it now, so like you're failing.
Yes.
So it's like
100%.
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. However, when I look at it through the lens of, so when I look at it through the lens of the script, that's what I see. Like, I'm not fulfilling everything I should be doing, so I'm failing, I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, there's so much to do and I'm feeling tired. But when I look at it's the same thing I'm looking at. My life's not actually changed. I'm just looking at it through a different lens, like the real me lens. I just see, like you say, there's so much fun and opportunity and ability just to enjoy all those good times. And it's, because this is about health and fitness.
Yes.
Like that's what I do for a job. And I think a big part of health and fitness is that. And that's why I'm talking about that mental fitness too, because it's that ability to be able to just still enjoy those good times in December and not let the script turn that into something that's also a negative, because I'm letting go of all those habits, or I'm not engaging in those habits that I want to be engaging in as often now. So it's like, it's that balance between the two. But really that lens is the point I'm making here. Yes. I think when I look at it through the lens of me, it just feels so much lighter and so much more opportunity. And it doesn't mean the problems or challenges haven't gone away. It's just because I'm looking at it through a different lens, I feel very differently about how I can approach things. That's something that I had to remind myself of that last week, because I really got caught up on the script and I was looking at everything through that very scripty lens. It just felt very overwhelming and very not fun and magical and not childlike, no wonder, because of that lens I was looking at things through. And I didn't actually have to change anything I was looking at. I just had to change the lens.
And sometimes you just need to take a breath and take a step back and just remember where you are.
Yeah.
Because I had friends over at the house maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it was a big script for me that I get really nervous about hosting people. And I don't know why.
But she's actually really good at doing. She is a really good host. So it's one of those moments where it's like the script's telling you something that's actually not true, which is how powerful the script can be.
Yeah, and I think something for me, like I struggle with like social situations, and I think then hosting in your own home, for me, it's a big thing, but I want to do more of it, and I want to push myself out there and really just have fun. But I remember
past the script's comfort zone.
There you go. But I remember I was like setting up the table and like lighting candles, trying to make it all cute for everybody, and I felt like I was in such a tizzy. Like I was running around, I was trying to make sure the house was clean, everything was like perfect. Like I mean perfection, and that's another thing for me for the script. Perfection's key, always. But I'm like, ultimately, if a surface isn't wiped clean or whatever, no one's going around like testing the surfaces to make sure that everything's okay. I'm grateful to be in a position I've got my closest friends around me that can come over, enjoy good food and have good chat and listen to Christmas music and have the best time. But in that moment, I was concerned about the environment that we were in, and I was like, it's ridiculous and it's laughable. Now looking back at it, it's so laughable.
What you've said there, though, is really interesting to think about, because the script gets very fixated on behaviours, when really that's what I'm saying. It's like behaviours are kind of an extension of your being. Like the doing is an extension of your being. The doing actually might be quite similar in both instances. It's just, again, about that lens. Let's say you are really showing up as the real you. There's nothing wrong with also wanting the house to be nice and clean for people to come over. That's totally fine. But it's like how that experience will be for you will be very different than when you're looking at it through a very scripty lens, because now it's a very like stressful and perfectionist and erratic type experience, opposed to just being like an enjoyable one where you're like, why would you choose for your house to be nice and clean for people to be coming over, so it's totally fine that you're doing that. But then you're also not, it doesn't become obsessive either, like you're saying. It doesn't become like perfectionist. It's just fulfilling that good enough and then being able to enjoy yourself and relax.
Because ultimately it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think also saying it, like vocalizing, and I even said to the girls, I was like, guys, like I get nervous doing this. Like I can't believe like you love it. It's amazing. But I even think vocalizing it to you, and it's the same even for this podcast. I want to show up every week being perfect and talking about the right things and saying the right things. And even at the start, I feel really scripty. And I'm probably going off into a segue here. But the point is that I'm vocalizing what the script is saying. And it makes me feel so much better. And it comes back, it's repetitive, it's the same thing, but again, it's the basics. It's from week one that we've been doing this, that vocalizing it, sharing your story, making it personal for other people, like it's relatable. And that's why we wanted to talk about this today, about December can feel overwhelming, but to remember, think of that little inner child on Christmas Eve going to bed and you were trying to close your eyes so tight so that you could wake up and be Christmas morning. Like I want that feeling, especially during December. Like it's magical. And
that feeling is within you, within me. Like it's just a case of allowing it to be released.
Yeah.
The script's like a guard that will never let that through if you're trying to go that way. All you need to do is go a different way, and that's just through that real you way.
And I completely appreciate in the moment it's really hard to pull yourself out. I get that, but it's just practice. Like even at my work party on Friday, at the start of the night, I'm like, oh goodness, like I don't know what to say, where to look, who to look at, how to say it. Like my brain is doing 100,000 things at the one time. Then I take a wee sip of Prosecco and all goes away. Ultimately, I have the feeling within me and I know I can do it, but it's just that way I'm like, just want to embrace it fully.
I think in those moments though, where you're saying it's hard to pull yourself out,
Sorry.
Sarah's diabetes pump's buzzing at the moment.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's fine. We, in those moments where you are struggling to pull yourself out, I think it's important, or at least for me, it's something I kind of had to learn, which was, I put a post up recently on my Instagram about this where I wasn't having a great day and it felt like a dark cloud was over me. Rather than then go to war with the script and be like, I have to overcome you, this has to change. It's more realizing that it's like, it's the script that's having a bad day. It's the script that's not feeling okay. It's not me. And it's okay that I'm feeling not okay. I just more sit with it and there's more of like a deep contentness I'm feeling, opposed to trying to fight the script over it. I think it is helpful to take action to do things that you know that will help you get out of the script, but it's not, I think that's different than mentally going to war with the script over the fact that you're not feeling okay. So it might be a case of like, oh, I'm not feeling great. That's okay though. But I'll maybe like go out for a walk, or I'll maybe listen to something that I enjoy, or listen to some music, or just do anything that you know will help you feel a bit better and helps you kind of like come out of the script. I think that's really helpful. But not, for me, not going to war with the script, being like, I'm not feeling okay, and then I have to overcome this and feel better and have to like beat the script. That never really worked for me, and the script loves that, because then I just ended up having this civil war in my head that the script wanted me to have, opposed to like when I wrote the Instagram post, I felt there was a dark cloud following me around that day. It was last week, the week we've been speaking about in this podcast. I wrote the post and I reflected on it, and that, even just doing that bit actually made me feel a lot lighter.
Yeah, it's like you're calling the script out. The script wants you to stay in your own head and stay in your own thoughts, and not like it's trying to keep you from escaping. It's like trying to grab you by the ankles. But then, sorry, I keep buzzing. I'm really sorry if you're listening to this. But whenever you call it out, it like fades away. Like the clouds break and the sun comes back shining through. And that's why for me, especially vocalizing it to you, like if I'm not feeling good, and you can sense my energy anyway, and it's really annoying. It's like you know me better than I know myself. But you know something's not, if I'm not 100%, and you'll ask me, and I find it quite hard to open up sometimes and be like, yeah, I'm not feeling great, but I don't know why. Or even sometimes you might notice it before I even do. But talking about it and then identifying it, and if it's whether it's big or small, it will help fade away.
Totally. I think it's a good place to wrap up the podcast though, what you said there.
Yeah.
So,
I hope you're all enjoying your Decembers.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's just what you appreciates.
Yes, and have the best time, socialise, have that little Bailey's hot chocolate, Christmas markets, like embrace the spirit, and just remember that little inner child of you wants you to enjoy December, and it doesn't matter if your centerpiece on your Christmas table isn't perfect, you know what I mean?
And just retaining that identity of someone who's like, I'm going to look after myself, I'm going to do the things that I know is going to support me both mentally and physically, but I'm also going to have a lot of fun this month with the partying and the drinking and the eating or whatever it is you do. This is really advice I'm giving to myself.
For sure.
Because it's the script, this is what the script says to me. Remember to fall back to those things, those basic habits with your mental fitness, with your physical fitness that you ultimately know you want to do, that's going to leave you feeling the best you can, but really also enjoy all the festivities, the alcohol, the food, whatever it is I or you enjoy to do.
And you can do it together. Like you and your dad tend to go to the gym sometimes at multiple points during the holidays, and we'll always go out for a big walk as a family, and it's great. It's so fun. So just have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
For a Christmas special.
Christmas special next week. Yeah, you can look forward to that, and talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.